Synthaholics. It's the Ragnarok podcast.
Welcome to Synthaholics, your weekly shot of Star Trek. This is your host, David Duncan, and with me, we have a full house tonight. We got Aaron O'Brien, we got Holly Michelle Vine, and we've got Robbie Palmer staying with us for longer than a segment.
Is this where I can howl?
Yes. Woo woo! Was that a wolf howl, or was that sort of just
That was like a...
That was a juggalo.
That was... It
was not a
juggalo. No, it was like a werewolf bar mitzvah howl.
wow, werewolf bar mitzvah.
Yes.
So, Robbie, just in case anybody missed you, the last two shows when you were on, you're doing your 31 days.
31 vlogs of Halloween.
On your Nerdynomicon channel.
He's still doing them.
YouTube.com/Nerdynomicon.
Yes, and you guys just did a live stream.
We did. We talked about the amazing movie that should be on everyone's watch list.
This is
Christmas
a movie.
List.
That's right. This is a movie that everybody should see at least once. It was fantastically made for a certain audience, and it's called Truth or Dare.
It's fantastically made for people who are blind and dumb.
It's not good.
No?
It's really, really not good.
Awful film.
It's about a possessed game of Truth or Dare.
That's awesome.
In concept, yes. I totally agree with you. In execution, oh God, why?
Sounds like sexy.
It could be.
It should have been.
It
not.
Really should have been.
There's not a boob to be found in the entire movie.
No, there's not.
In a movie called Truth or Dare, you expect it to be like...
When you were 15, 16 playing Truth or Dare, you wanted something sexy to happen so bad, and it never happened.
And it still doesn't happen.
It still doesn't happen.
In a rated R movie, it still doesn't happen. It's still there is a lesbian kiss. I mean, that's
yes,
that's as
there
sexy as it gets. 5 minutes into the film,
they also have a rule in there: 2 truths and a dare, which I'm like,
that's not
first off, who are you playing with when they're doing that? Yeah. Secondly, what kind of truths are you using? Because I use that shit like Tyrion fucking Lannister, okay? Yeah. I'm in there, I'm gonna find your secret, and I'm gonna use that to sleep with you.
Wow.
Wait, what?
I'm never playing Truth or Dare with you.
I said sleep with, not bang on a gaming table. I like to be spooned.
Okay.
Sometimes I need to be the little spoon.
Doesn't everyone, though?
This is why
everybody does.
This is why he hits on me, because I'm a large guy.
And thank you, Holly. She's over there trying to bring some normalcy. Doesn't everybody need to feel be the little spoon every once in a while? We all just need to feel that love.
Holly is very little, though.
Yes.
You do, though. No, like, even
I can't
so
picture
you're
her
sitting at your
as the big
computer,
spoon. Like,
and you're droning on, and you're just working really hard.
Right.
And you're just like, you're drained, and you're exhausted, and then your loved one comes up behind you and gives you a hug. That just feels so nice.
I agree, but typically I'm not only just the big spoon, I'm the fucking ladle, okay? There's no teaspoons to be had in my life.
Made of clay.
Nice.
Well, even the ladle has a place on the stove in its cute little no-drip thing. So,
right. First off, my kitchen is not laid out the same way you do. And secondly, in the visual that I have, I'm hanging upside down dripping. Okay? That is not something that... Although, oddly, in keeping with today's topic... Strangely,
it works.
It works.
It works very well.
Well, and
I would like to see Holly be the big spoon, though. I think that would be hilarious.
She'd have to have a very small person.
I want to see the big spoon.
So, talking about our subject, we are talking about the 1997 movie Event Horizon.
Aaron's just looking for any way to deviate this conversation.
Let it die.
Let it die now.
I'll never drink tea again.
Yes.
We didn't have much Star Trek news, though. We did get a picture of L'Rell with hair and a dress with a Klingon symbol on her big gold belt.
Yes.
She got some plastic surgery.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Big gold.
Her big gold codpiece. But, the Klingon cod. It's a double codpiece because Klingon's got 2.
Yeah.
Well, it was, and she's got hair, so I'm sure that will get thrown in a line or two. They have to throw it. If they don't address the hair with the Klingons...
They're probably not going to. Discovery.
Are Klingons really the kind of people who are going to actually conversate about that?
Well, they asked Worf during the
Couple of trials and tribulations.
yeah, in the Deep Space Nine, he goes, "Why does everyone look different?" He goes, "We don't talk about that." But
we don't discuss it with outsiders, I think.
but they should at least throw the hair as a comment. If they don't, they take themselves way too seriously.
Well, the thing is also, like, I don't see there being a big time gap. So how did they go from bald to, like, she's got a full head of hair?
It's
like,
the future,
long.
Dave.
Oh.
Anything can happen.
Rogaine.
Rogaine.
Klingon gain. We should add that to one of our commercials
Yes.
for the
That's a
Alex
good
Jones
idea.
show.
Klingon
A Klingon
Rogaine.
hair Rogaine.
Yes.
For regrowing the warrior inside of you.
That would be hilarious.
Maybe she's born with it.
Maybe it's Klingon gain. But the thing is, I want to reach out to the Klingon Language Institute and get them to translate it for me. And then I want to reach out to Jen and see if she can record it in Klingon, and then we'll read the translations in
sing it.
English.
Oh, yeah, she could sing you a
That'd be great.
jingle.
You know what you guys should do on
Yeah.
the Synthaholics YouTube channel is do like commercials in Klingon, like that Maybelline commercial. Just do it in Klingon.
Yeah,
Have
we
Duncan in full Klingon face.
Or you could just have me without a shirt making fart noises under my armpit. And that's it.
That's always fun.
I kind of get the feeling that you'd get a lot of views.
Nah. Not the
but
right kind of views.
How would you feel if that went viral though?
That'd
For
be
all the
hilarious.
wrong reasons.
I all the wrong reasons.
It'll go viral for the the people the streakers community.
Yeah. I didn't say it was going to be naked.
But because it's going to follow up your naked running through the woods
Watch
video.
what's-
which
He's
is a
got
streaking
socks
video.
on, David. He's not
Socks
naked.
on, not naked.
He can't make bacon right now,
So
but
much-
naked he is not.
So much male nudity, it's not even funny.
Sorry, I'll put my pants back on.
Should we get into Event Horizon?
Yes, we
If
should.
we have to.
I think that's a great idea.
Holly's like, moving on.
No
Like,
more
I was in your corner, Palmer, but now you're on your own.
All right, so Event Horizon was released on August 15th, 1997. It was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson.
And for those of you who don't know, he directed all the Resident Evil films with his wife,
Yeah.
Wiki.
which are the better of the video
They're
game
watchable.
movies. They're
They're
watchable
watchable.
for
Yeah.
video game movies.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
they're
he's a decent
Yeah.
director.
And for the record, I also want to point out that he sifted through over 40 scripts before he got to this one as well.
I think he did.
He was in high demand.
Yeah, because he did Mortal Kombat.
yes, that is exactly why.
And Mortal Kombat was also one of the more watchable ones.
And it was
Yeah.
very. They were extremely. He got. You were saying, like you're saying, he got a lot of offers,
yes.
and he went for this one.
Well, the reason being is almost everything else that he had was PG-13 and below, and he specifically stated that he wanted to do a hard R movie. And when he stumbled across this script, there were like 3 or 4 others that were in the running, but he stumbled across this script, and I believe the original working title was something akin to My Destination is the Star, or My Destination
Yeah.
is the Stars, or something like that.
The destination, the stars, or something.
Right. So he selected this. I mean, he went deep to find this script.
And so the script is written by a man named Philip Eisner. We were saying before we started recording that although he's got a couple other credits, there's very little he's done. Where most people who's written scripts you would have at least seen.
Well, the thing is, I give huge props to Paul W.S. Anderson for this, because, like, usually, and we talked with Kipley about this, people who write brilliant scripts and original things, they get forgotten. And they're just, like, everyone in Hollywood just wants the next big remake or whatever.
Sure.
So
Right.
this is its own thing. It's its own franchise. It's not even. It's just its own individual film.
Right.
And the fact that he went searching through all these scripts is absolutely amazing. And props to him for looking for something different and not just another remake or same old thing.
And the thing is, the script name was even changed to distance itself even further from movies like Alien and stuff like that. They wanted to completely remove any correlation between those sci-fi movies and those franchises and Event Horizon.
Yeah.
Hence the change in title.
And so many genre actors in this film.
Oh God, yes.
So many great people that I can recognize from things. It's great.
Well, and just before a lot of them really got super popular. And besides, what's his name?
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is pre-Matrix.
Pre-Matrix, but Sam Neill already
Jurassic Park.
he already
But
did
he
Jurassic Park.
This is post Jurassic Park, but pre-Matrix.
But the thing is, like, I don't know anything Sam Neill's done lately. I mean, he was in The Tutors, but he died in the first season. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
Sam Neill hasn't been in much.
I actually completely forgot about that.
It's weird
Yeah.
that Sam Neill. It's like all these big names, and Sam Neill's one of them, but his career kind of declined, and everyone else is kind of rose.
A lot of those guys too want to do other things than just do movies. Like they want to do Broadway shows.
Yeah, Julie Richardson especially. She's more like Broadway stage stuff.
Yeah,
after Nip Tuck.
And this movie did terrible in the box office. The budget was $60 million, and it brought in $26.7 million.
That was less than I thought.
Not even a third of what it should have got. It's under a third. It was like a huge disaster.
The movie's ahead of its time, though. I mean, it's a way better film than those numbers.
Well, there's a lot of factors, and I'm sure we're going to get to them in this episode, but there's a lot of factors that led to the version that we've all seen as well. Mm-hmm. And
there's a bunch of deleted scenes that are like missing now and stuff like that.
Well, the original cut of the movie was 136 minutes.
Yeah.
So, that's not the version we saw.
No. Sure. Yeah.
So, we'll get into the actual synopsis of this film. So, we're in the future. We're in the year 2047. And they had this Event Horizon ship was lost in space. And it was one of the worst
catastrophes ever.
It was the worst sound I ever heard. Like
Wasn't
a dump
it like...
truck being launched off the Empire State Building.
And dumping lots of dung into a nice car.
It was a Pee Wee Herman reference, but nobody got it. Never mind.
I'm kind of on track here. My brain is like, I think it wasn't like a Lost in Space. It was like they told people that it blew up.
Yeah, they did.
Right?
Yeah, they did. They said
it was lost.
It was destroyed, whatever. But it was basically, it was one of the worst shipping space
catastrophes on record.
Right.
Because apparently space got way better after 2015.
Yeah, man. So cool.
Hashtag Space Force.
Space Force.
So important. So important.
The ship reappears in a orbit in Neptune, and they're out to retrieve it. We get introduced to Dr. William Weir, who's the Sam Neill of Jurassic Park fame. And he was the guy who designed it. And we get this quick beginning where he's up on some space station and he's shaving with a straight razor. That's not a good idea.
No.
Not when you're psychotic and your wife has committed suicide.
Yeah. It's like
with the same straight razor.
With the same straight razor. It's like she's like, I'm just gonna keep using this.
I'm gonna remember her every single time I nick myself.
Reason.
Yes. So morbid.
Loving you. Sorry.
That's terrible. No. Don't ever do that again.
No.
All right. So he's called to the ship, and it's the rescue ship is called the Lewis and Clark, and commanded by Captain Miller, which is Lawrence Fishburne. And they're on the secret mission, and Dr. Weir's coming along. So you got this wacky crew. You kind of have like the Aliens kind of feel before they go into the...
Yeah, that's exactly the same parallel that I had in my head was Aliens, the sequel. How you were kind of seeing the crew assemble.
When Ripley goes to meet everyone, and you're like, oh, you were just a bunch of knuckleheads. Mm-hmm. You all going to die.
Right.
Especially Cooper.
Yeah.
He's the biggest knucklehead.
Game over, man. Game over.
I know, right?
Oh, God, I miss him.
We talked about him last week.
We did just talk about him last week. We did talk about last week.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah. So the crew, they meet the whole crew, and they go into a stasis, which is like these water tanks, because apparently when they go into full acceleration, that they just completely be liquefied. So if you put them in liquid, they won't be liquefied.
Because you can't compress liquid.
And there you go. I don't know if that really works, but...
Space, the final frontier.
There you go.
These are the voyages of the Lewis and Clark.
So they
along with the Captain Lorca. Except he's the doctor.
I blame it on nanobots.
So they all go to
models.
They all go to sleep in the water tanks, and during that time, Dr. Weir wakes up and he finds his wife Claire is there, and she's missing her eyes
and her clothes.
And
on the bridge.
Like, I've been waiting for you. And you're like, ugh.
Could you imagine, like,
look into my eyes,
auditioning for that role? Like, yeah, you're gonna be naked the whole movie.
I know, wasn't that weird?
Yeah, so weird. Like, I think the robe was the only thing she actually wore the entire movie.
If you think that
she
one's
had
weird,
panties on.
if you think that one's weird, I've got a better one for you. Life Force.
Oh yeah, I saw Life Force.
1980s sci-fi vampire-ish movie. Yeah. I don't think she wears a stitch of clothes in the entire movie, does she?
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but
Yeah, it's been over 10 years for me, too. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this movie is bad even with all the blatant, unnecessary nudity.
nudity. I know. Exactly.
It's like, I'm not even aroused anymore. I'm just ashamed.
I'm just like, ugh.
I feel dirty.
So she's obviously, like I said, she has no eyes, and this whole thing's kind of disturbing. And that's when all of a sudden he wakes up again, and it's like this. He had this vivid nightmare that he was living through and they're like, "Oh, what's the matter, Doc?" And then he gets shot. Or no, that was beforehand.
Yeah, the Lorca shot him in the neck.
Lorca.
His name is DJ. I'm sorry.
DJ, play
DJ
us a
Lorca.
song. Anyways, the crew.
He's the smoking doctor. He's like a doctor from the 50s or 60s.
I know.
He just keeps smoking. It's great. I like how the doctors went back to cigarettes in the future.
I
It's
know.
like, oh, cigarettes don't kill you. Cancer kills you.
So apparently, the crew of the Lewis and Clark were supposed to be on leave, and
They are not on leave anymore.
they got because of this top secret mission. They were called in to rescue the Event Horizon. So once they hear that it's the Event Horizon, and Dr. Weir is kind of giving them the rundown of what the Event Horizon is, they don't want to have anything to do with it because they're sort of like
They're freaked out. And
yeah,
also ships that go up this far usually don't come back.
yeah, this is really far out, and they were told. I mean, like I think somebody mentioned before. I think it was Holly mentioned before that everyone was told that it was destroyed, and so they're like
It's a ghost ship.
They're like, fuck
Yeah,
you.
Space.
right.
Bullshit. Bullshit, mama.
So they were all kind of spooked, and then Dr. Weir has to explain what the secret experimental side of the ship it was that has a gravity drive, and
That part was pretty funny.
and it's funny because they kind of do the thing in Stranger Things with the paper poking the holes
And they
through.
do the same thing
in
in
Interstellar. Yeah.
But this was the first time I've ever seen that before.
Oh, yeah. I mean, back in '97 or whatever.
It was the first time I'd seen that explained that way.
Right.
But it's funny because when they,
He uses the girl's picture.
yeah, he puts it through the picture. Yeah.
That's Susan and she's mine.
That's Susan, and she's mom.
Or whatever her name was.
Yeah, it was great. And that was Sean Pertwee, who's plays Smith, and Sean Pertwee is also Alfred in Gotham.
Oh, is he?
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude!
The whole time I was watching the movie, I'm like, I know who he is. Who is he? But he's just so young there. I couldn't figure it out
Right.
till the movie was over. I'm like,
Homeboy's
he's
Alfred Pennyworth.
Alfred Pennyworth from Gotham. There's so many genre actors in this movie. Which
There
makes me
really
so excited.
is. And that's a great rendition of Alfred, by the way, in
I
Gotham.
love him, yeah.
I haven't watched.
I
it.
actually haven't watched Gotham.
You need to watch
It took me a little while to get into, but let me put it to you this way. This Alfred is ex-Special
Kick-ass.
Forces. And he's one of the ones that teaches Bruce Wayne how to be Batman.
How to fight.
It's pretty awesome.
It sounds like cool. I just wish I like the old English butler. Yes,
He's still an old English
I'm Michael
butler.
Caine.
I'm Michael Caine.
See, I'm fine with Michael Caine. I'm fine with Homeboy. Who is it? Armando Santi? No, it's not Armando Santi. The new one.
I don't know Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
I can't take your guys' Michael Caine impressions. I
love
don't know what
Michael
it is.
Caine.
I love Michael
David,
Caine.
he loves it when I do Michael Caine.
I love Michael Caine.
I still love the foreshadowing of Dark Knight. You've known her whole life. Not yet, sir. Dude.
dude. That's cold.
Dude.
That's cold.
Anyway, sorry.
So the Event Horizon on its test flight was supposed to reach Proxima Centauri, which are our closest star system, and left and never came back. And once they took off, there was a recording, and it was basically a bunch of screaming and some Latin thrown in. Apparently,
Lorca figures it out.
yeah.
Mirror Universe characters are fluent in Latin.
Which Heath Jason Isaac's character, DJ, he thinks that it says "save me" or "liberate me." So,
Liberate me. Save me.
Yeah.
which he finds out it means there's more to it later on. But
Yes, he the later the movie, the longer the movie goes, the more Latin he can hear. I wonder if that's what the ship's doing to him. He's like bringing back his Latin classes.
He's breaking out the old books.
Can I say something about the Latin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is 2047, and
Who speaks
this
Latin?
guy knows Latin? No. Like, there are so few people in 2018 who speak Latin, let alone can read it. I mean,
it's only 30 years in the future. I mean, anything could happen,
from
right?
now. But
maybe he went to a classical school. Classical schools, like Christian schools and homeschool, they teach Latin. I mean, I took
And
Latin.
true.
And
That's true.
if you're a doctor,
I was
there's
homeschooled. I didn't know Latin.
there's a ton of no. But if you're a doctor, there's a ton of Latin you have to learn just for
And he is a doctor.
Law school as well.
Like medical terminologies and stuff.
anatomy and bullshit like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's not like Sanskrit died in 20 years.
Yeah.
But it could.
So they like I said, they get to Neptune, and they try to contact the event horizon, but they get no response. They fly to it and they dock with it, which is actually
That's not a load-bearing structure.
It is now.
It is now.
Fuck you.
Such a great line.
Oh my god, my favorite fuck you line was the fuck this ship.
Fuck this.
Fuck this shit.
However, I think it pissed off the ship.
I'm sure it did.
I think the ship was pissed off before they met it.
Oh, this
ship needed a nap.
of hell.
It needed a nap.
Needed a nap.
You need.
Did it have a really long
Lock it
nap before
down.
it came back?
I don't know. It's like just an angry beehive out in space. That's basically all it is.
I also think it's interesting that it came back around Neptune and not Pluto.
Yeah.
Because Pluto wasn't declared not a planet till later, but it's interesting that they kind of foreshadowed that and didn't even talk about Pluto and just
Right.
let's do Neptune.
Also, I thought it was interesting they didn't go to Uranus, because that would have been kind of funnier.
Samuel took his wife to Uranus. Yeah, right up there.
He's just great. He's just be funny. His jokes would just write themselves.
Exactly. She's nice.
So,
That's how I like her.
so
Two anuses in her face.
all right. So Captain Miller and their engineer, the medical tech Peters, go aboard the Event Horizon, and they are looking for survivors. Apparently, they're seeing that there's
Life signs
Life
on
signs
board,
on it.
but they can't find anything.
find out what's going on. So
They can't pinpoint where the life signs are.
They're the spirits of the demons.
the ship of the damned. So
Ours the
The
dead.
ship of the dead.
the corridor they find is lined with explosives and emergency measures. This is foreshadowing people. This means that if there's a catastrophe, they can blow the middle section of the ship. So like a D7,
It's sort of
like a Klingon D7.
Because the front half is like the bridge, and
Yeah.
it's got a long neck, and it's got basically a drive section, which
Maybe-
is exactly how the D7 is set up.
Maybe Klingons have that too.
Yeah, Klingons invented the Event Horizon.
There you go.
Sam Neill didn't really do it. He stole it.
That's right. So they split up. One person goes to the bridge, and they discover mutilated and frozen human corpses floating around with eyes are cut out. And so that's interesting.
Someone has an eye fetish. in this film.
And then Justin, the engineer, goes to
The eyes are the window to the soul. If your eyes are gone, where's your
Have
soul?
no soul. It's a good point, Holly.
Thank you.
Justin, the engineer, goes to the ship's gravity core, and it pretty much reactivates itself, and he gets sucked into a big pool of black water.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
I don't think it's me. I don't think I'm smart enough to just know things. I think it's kind of more just kind of how the character was written, but as soon as the captain was like, Justin,
You go back there.
I was like, he's dead.
He's dead.
Ironically, he doesn't die, though.
Doesn't die right away.
He's the
he's
first
still
one.
alive.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, this movie follows a lot of the rules of typical haunted houses.
Sure.
I mean, this basically is a haunted house movie in space.
Space.
I kind of thought it was Hellraiser in space.
That's another good parallel. Yeah.
Yeah,
little bit
the
of
first first Hellraiser.
Yeah, one or two, before they got weird.
Yeah, they got weird.
Yeah.
Can I watch the weird ones and not the scary ones?
None of them
No.
were really scary.
No.
Oh.
Well, 2 was for
I
me.
had a creeper dressed as Pinhead grind on me at a Halloween party at a club once.
You.
It's probably worse than the movies, but I will still never watch the movies.
That's disturbing. I'm
Yeah,
It was very
that one's
disturbing,
up
yes.
there. That one's up there.
That's
It's at Lando's, Robbie.
not pretty.
Oh God. I know that venue.
Yeah.
That just amplifies the creep.
That makes it
anyway.
worse.
It certainly does.
So,
Sorry. Continue.
no, I'm sorry, Holly.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you were molested by Pinhead
Yeah, I know. We'll tear your soul apart.
and your pussy.
Oh, shit.
David!
David, that was wrong.
Sorry,
Can't you just modify that with proper terminology?
vagina.
Oh, God. Okay.
He broke it. He said vagina and he broke it.
He broke the internet when he
I
said
broke
vagina. So when Justin goes disappearing into that dark hole,
We just said pussy and vagina.
I got you. I like how you got that.
I'm slow.
So the rescue tech Cooper, he gets a rescue line and he follows him back after him and tries to save him. But Justin comes through again just beforehand. So
He's seen some shit.
I've seen some shit. He did see some
I went to the asshole, not the vagina.
Oh no! Pirates of Darkwater.
Oh,
Don't ruin
Pirates of Diarrhea.
Darkwater.
I know.
Shut your
I do
dirty
love
mouths.
Pirates of Dark. That needs a remake.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
In a big,
Oh my
bad
God.
way.
I want to be a part of that.
I know.
If anyone is listening and they're currently working on that,
Do it.
sign
Well,
me
that's
up
my next
for
project
Pirates
after
of Dark
Sandpire.
Waters.
Sandfire.
What?
Pirates of Darkwater.
That's my next project after Sandpire.
That's just the gay pornography you're going to film.
Sandpire?
No.
Dark water?
Yeah, Pirates of Darkwater.
Why would that
It's
be a
not
pornography?
anymore.
could be. The sequel could be. I don't know.
Okay, I'm not signing up for it if it's a porno.
Damn it.
Holly only does tasteful porn.
Not gay porn.
No porn.
All right, no
porn.
porn. No porn. All
I'm
right.
trying to get
Only
Adrian ready
tasteful
to
times.
review porn, but
Who are you trying to get?
Adrian,
Oh, that'd be hilarious, actually.
put him on the YouTube channel
No, it would
reviewing
be
porn.
so bad.
Only if it was like live reactions.
Put his hair in a ponytail, have him dressed in a suit, wear glasses, and like cerebrally analyze porn.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would be actually hilarious.
Wouldn't it?
That would
Yes.
be really funny.
That would be funny. And like, don't show clips. Just have him just straight talk about
Right.
just the plot
No.
breakdowns.
But show clips completely blurred and just a giant blur on the
Just
on the
blurs.
screen.
It's so
And
pixelated.
have him like,
It's so pixelated. It's you can't even see
just
what
a
it
giant
is.
pixel. It's a giant peach pixel.
I'm actually not joking about this. Here's the text stream. I was talking about this earlier.
That's hilarious.
Here's something that he's dying to say. The lack of grooming harkens back to films of the 70s, but the acting is supremely modern, evoking strong feelings of empathy toward the schoolgirl.
Oh my god.
That's funny.
Well, I'm glad he's. It should be a Patreon kind of thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Well,
But then he'd have to watch porn.
Then
and
he'd have to be on camera.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's probably, you know what?
He's so camera
It's
shy.
probably harder to get him on camera than to ask him to
Watch porn
review
and talk about
porn.
That's exactly it, too.
But having him do all of it at the same time will be impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continue on with Event Horizon.
yeah.
What
I
were we
see
talking
that.
about? Anyway, so they
Doing porn.
so they rescue Justin, the engineer, and obviously he's all messed up. And they bring him to their sickbay area. Also, when they reestablish the gravity on the ship in the atmosphere, the corpse that's floating around the bridge falls and kind of shatters.
Blows up and there's a balloon of blood.
I don't know if it really works that way.
No, probably not.
but it was kind of weird.
It was an interesting visual,
It was gross.
and that's what they're going for.
And
I
there's-
think it was the most realistic thing they could do
yeah, there was.
to give you a real sense that you were there or that it actually happened. Because the debris floating in the room before the gravity was put back in place, they had to find some way to tie in the audience. I think it was a good way to do that.
Yeah.
The gravity boots, you mean?
Well, no, just
No,
when the
no.
corpse falls and it kind of shatters.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that. Just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense that how it happened.
Right.
When the gravity drive does kick on, it sends out this huge, emits this huge wave, and it actually damages the Lewis and Clark.
Gravity wave.
And so everyone has to leave the ship, Lewis and Clark, to get onto the Event Horizon, and they have to try to find ways to mitigate the damage on the Lewis and Clark. So that's a thing.
They in trouble.
And
That's
it's
a
obviously
thing.
to get them on the ship. So
The ship wants them. The ship owns them.
And the pilot doesn't seem to want to go on either. He's like, there's no way he wants to get on that ship. That's your...
Cooper. No, I'm sorry. That's Smith.
Yes.
The guy from Gotham.
Right.
Yeah.
They have like 20 hours of oxygen to use that's on the event horizon.
It is stale.
It's old
It
fart.
tastes bad.
Old fart. Fart air.
Honestly, if I got on a ship and it had been lost for how many years had it been MIA?
I think 7.
Yeah.
7
memory
years.
serves.
And it's like far away at Neptune. I don't know that. I mean, granted, I'll notice a change in the way the air tastes or smells, but how are you gonna know? Like, his instant response is, "That's a CO2," and you're like, "Oh, okay, I accept that." Like,
There's a lot of symbolism in this film, and it should have been at Uranus because that's the 7th planet.
Good point.
There is a lot. I realize you were cracking a joke, but there was a lot of symbolism in this movie. Period, and
I was being
many
serious.
callbacks.
Like I was just thinking about it because it was 7 years it was lost, and 7's a biblical number, and then because they could use 6, it's also a big, to 666 if it was by Saturn.
Yeah.
But if they wanted to do another 7, they should have done Uranus. I mean, sure, it was a joke, but I mean, I was being serious. If they were going to do the symbolism, 8's not really a biblical number, I don't think.
No.
No.
It's like 7, 6, and 9.
7's supposed to be perfection or something?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
7th heaven.
So,
Aaron, please power through that. We need to go.
we need to get this done.
Send a gravity well or bomb or something.
Bob and Holly.
Alex, we can go from born to 7th heaven.
That's right.
At the drop of a hat.
So one of the
that
characters that's on there is Peters, and we get that she's alluded that she has a child back home on Earth, and she gets this visual image of him in the sick bay with his legs all like rotted and stuff like that. Apparently, I don't know if he does have this disease. I wasn't clear about that, or if,
I feel like he did have some kind of terminal or near terminal disease, and she was worried about him.
Yeah.
So that's what's eating at her.
And so
that's her
obviously-
dark past.
So she sees that and she pretty much freaks out. And later on, we get the audio of the ship again, the transmission, and she's trying to clear up what was going on. The second command, the XO.
Stark. Julie Richardson from Nip Tuck.
Right. There you go, another Nip Tuck.
Yeah.
You just love those people.
I love that show
and
so
then
much.
all of a sudden they are all showing up.
On our radar.
Yeah, recently, like real recently. So it's pretty bizarre. So yeah, with that we get the. There's all sorts of things going on. So Justin is obviously he's incapacitated from what happened to him in the gravity drive, and what's his name? Cooper, the guy who saved him, said I saw him come out of that. There was water there, and Dr. Weir's like, "There's no possible way. There's no water. There's nothing like that, And later on, there is water because there's some kind of coolant leak, and it starts pouring into the room
For reasons.
For reasons.
Yes.
And
But they mention the coolant. He mentions the coolant leak as soon as he goes in, and he's like, "It doesn't seem to be a dangerous percentage or something." He says, "I remember because he wipes the coolant off of a screen, and I was like, huh, that's an interesting way they did those special effects."
What'd you think about the special effects? It felt so silly.
So it's in the 90s, and yeah, it's silly, but I think that the cast reacted well to the special effects.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They were cheesy for us as viewers, and I'm sure at the time they felt really real, but I was more impressed by the interaction of the cast.
Here's
with
the interesting
special
thing
effects.
about this movie. This number may sound like a lot, but if you take into effect that this is a Hellraiser or a haunted house movie in outer space, outer space in general, this movie is composed of mostly practical effects. There's only 400 computer-generated special effects in this film.
Right.
And most of them are the exterior shots of the ships.
Exactly. Or composite shots. For instance, there's a scene with a fireball chasing Lawrence Fishburne later on. That does count as 2 different special effects, the way that they had to shoot that. So, I mean, there's only 400 computer-generated special effects in this film.
I honestly, when I saw this originally, I remember the effects of like the things floating around and weightlessness, but it didn't wow me, and it didn't make me either way. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Right.
That's all I thought. You know,
I mean, the effects aren't awful for.
No.
I mean, a lot of 1997 movies completely fall apart nowadays.
Oh God,
this movie doesn't completely fall apart from a visual standpoint. It's not perfect. I mean, it's not bad either.
And here's the
No, it's not
interesting
bad.
thing too: the ship of the Event Horizon was actually modeled after the Cathedral in Notre Dame.
really?
Yes, even the core was actually modeled directly after the altar of Notre Dame.
Yeah, they did a lot of like. That's what I was saying earlier. They did
corridor-
lots of symbolic things
Right.
in the film.
The corridors are filled with
religious.
flying buttresses and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Now, one of you mentioned earlier
Uranus.
that this has a lot. That this has a lot of biblical significance.
Religious and biblical, yes.
Yeah. So this extended cut that I didn't see, is
It's
there
not
more
just
of
you,
that
like,
in the
you know,
extended
it-
cut? Because
Yes.
I mean, the only there were some things, I guess, but like now that you guys say it, I'm like, okay, that's very interesting. And like the window to the like command deck where they,
Yeah, it makes a cross.
all the controls and stuff are, it's a cross. So like, I don't know, did we really lose a lot with what was cut or not really?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I've only been able to track down a few scenes. There are some on the Blu-ray as far as deleted scenes. I think that there's some on one of the special edition DVD releases as well. Most of the... Here's the thing. When this film was created, typically speaking, directors were given, at that time, 10 weeks to compose their director's cut. However, he had to go back and do some second team reshoots, which took a couple of weeks. So he was only given 6 weeks in order to put together his director's cut. And he was pressured into doing that, which violated the union laws for directors at the time as well. And from there, the movie was cut down even further. So when DVDs and Blu-rays became a thing, and everybody was trying to find the missing pieces of this movie to assemble it into a true director's cut, now that they had the time to do it, they were able to, and I'm not joking about this, track down the missing footage of Event Horizon to a salt mine in Transylvania. Over 70% of the film was damaged and unusable. The 30% that they were able to find was used in deleted scenes, and there are cuts of this movie with longer bits in it. However, we're never going to be able to see the full movie the way it was intended. The bootleg copies that still float around Comic-Cons to this day are unfinished movies that did not test well with audiences, with incompleted special effects and whatnot, unmastered and unmixed audios, and most of the stuff that we have now is more of the torture stuff. It's more of the more visual, vivid hell scenes in this film.
Well, I would, I wouldn't mind seeing some movies that didn't test well with audiences, because people are fucking stupid sometimes.
Check out the producer's cut of Halloween 6.
And it just like the original cut for that Will Smith movie with the zombies where he kills himself at the end, like
Legend.
the Legend.
I Am Legend,
I'm Legend.
yeah.
Yeah. Like the original cut of that sounded way better than what we got in the film, like where he doesn't kill himself, because like him kill it just made no sense.
The
It was
Crow
just like-
City of Angels, same thing. That movie was supposed to be completely different. So,
Yeah, like just audience test people are kind of dumb sometimes.
Sure. Well, let's get back.
I should be an audience test person.
Yeah, we should.
That'd be fun.
I would love to do that.
I know you would. Well, let's get back to our story. So, like I said, so she saw her son with the legs all bloody and messed up on the operating table there at the sick bay. We also get a scene where Dr. Weir is in one of the gravity drives, like Jeffrey's tubes.
Yeah,
And he's doing some work. Basically,
it looks cool. It's all like green and like
it looks like a bunch of
Circuit boards.
Circuit boards, yeah, exactly. And the lights go out, and we see his ex-wife, or not ex-wife, his wife that's passed away,
it's dead wife.
dead wife. Again,
Now,
she's got no eyes.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt and sidetrack again, but He
You gotta
never.
send.
Is it ever? I didn't notice that it was ever discussed how she died or if she was actually dead.
She committed suicide because
The straight razor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
with a straight razor because
That he shaves with.
he spent all his time working on the ship and not spending it with her.
Yep.
right. But that was
Workaholic syndrome.
I didn't miss it in the beginning though, where like I should have known that until I saw it. Right.
It's a line of dialogue.
All I'm
towards
going
the
to
end.
say is if your spouse is working too hard and you decide that's how you're going to just end yourself, I think it's time to move on.
Yeah.
I hope it wasn't for Dr. Weir. I hope she had other issues happening.
Yeah,
Right. Because
like-
That's
Sorry.
not. It's not worth
You
it.
keep playing with your ship,
No.
so I'm going to off myself with a straight razor.
Yeah.
It's like,
That you'll shave with.
it's like it's
Damn.
almost. I get that suicide is a complicated thing, but like it is very clear that when you're gone, your loved ones have to take care of the pieces that you've left. Like they have to clean up
taking your body out of the
bathroom.
bathtub.
Exactly, and
shaving with your straight razor.
yeah.
shaving with your murder weapon.
I don't think that a loved one's going to, unless it was a really, really bad relationship. I don't think that that will be shaving with their razor.
I don't think so either. It's a whole thing. Honestly, this part when we find out how she died, it felt so two-dimensional to me.
I couldn't agree
I was
with you
like,
more.
come on, really?
Hopefully that's
Yeah.
so maybe she had some other issues.
Why was it? Couldn't she just be walking across the street and got hit by a car by accident, and like he's all torn up about it? Or I mean, that would make sense.
But
Well,
it's to make him feel guilty for working on the ship.
Maybe he
What-
saw the car coming and didn't yell fast enough.
Edith Keeler, no.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I felt really, really strongly about, and I was really upset that I was wrong, was that, well, maybe I should save that for the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hold
on. Time out. Let me type this out so I don't forget it.
So while you type that, I'm going to go on here. So yeah, we got. And strangely enough, Weir sees us. Dr. Weir sees us in the tube, and he never mentions it to anybody. He's just like, "Oh, I'm going fucking nuts. I'll keep that to myself, even though I'm out in space.
Don't nobody need to know about that.
Nobody needs to know."
Space crazy is a good normal thing.
Yeah. So space madness. And then what's his name? Justin wakes up and says that the darkness is coming or something to that nature.
And he tries to flush himself out the airlock.
Yes, he does try to do that.
Lawrence Fishburne heroically saves him at the last second.
Was not in the original script for this movie. There was an airlock scene in the original script. It was cut. They added that back because they loved the visual.
There's also a scene where Jason Isaac is one of the what's his name? The pilot there starts losing it, Smith, and he starts trying to go after Weir.
And Jason Isaacs puts a scalpel to his neck.
His neck, and he's like,
Great.
"Whoa, dude, you're a little on edge."
But the thing is, it's nice. Jason Isaacs not playing a complete asshole. He's not playing a bad guy. He's playing a guy who's like mentally damaged, I'm sure. But
It
like,
does seem a little bit.
but he's not a straight up asshole, evil person.
I think
like
he
does
was
in
guarded.
most movies.
Yeah, I don't think he was an asshole. I just think he was guarded.
Right. And this is where the XO Stark basically comes to Captain Miller saying, with this theory, I think the Event Horizon is a living entity itself. It's preying on our fears and our secrets. And she thinks that the hallucinations are going to just increase.
Get
over
worse.
Time. So he's like, that's bullshit.
Until he has his own hallucination.
Right. So, as you mentioned, what's his name? Justin goes into, wakes up, and he starts going into the airlock, tries to jump out the airlock, and Captain Miller does save him, but he's all messed up.
Well, the thing is, like, he was obviously possessed because as soon as he decompresses the airlock and it starts its countdown, he comes to.
Yes.
I don't know that he was possessed. I think he was genuinely terrified of what was
like,
to come.
Oh, I'm going to blow myself out the
But
airlock.
he was facing death, and then he was like, he was looking at the reality of what he just did. I don't think he was possessed. I think he was like genuine, and he was like, I don't want to be alive when this motherfucker comes for us all.
Well,
But then as soon as he did, he was like, oh my god, I have 30 seconds to live. I'm going to die. And that was the fight or flight thing where it just kicked in and he was like, "Oh, please save me."
I mean, it's an interesting point, but I feel like his demeanor and the way he spoke totally changed. Like it sounded like he was possessed.
Not only that, it was also his physical mannerisms. It almost looked like he was being moved as if like he was a mannequin.
Yeah,
I don't think so, because what good would have come from the ship sending him out there? Nothing.
To scare everyone to fucking death.
But that wouldn't have done anything, because it was trying to. The ship wanted to go back into the hole.
Who does?
Get back.
The man's blunt. But
We're going back to Uranus.
All right, well, let's just keep on. We got our theories, because I still got a lot to get through here.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so the airlock thing happens. They only have 4 hours of breathable air left, and Captain Miller wants to know what's making these manifestations, like Justin blowing himself up.
I don't know.
And he's like, I don't know. And he won't even admit that he's seen some crazy shit already, you know? So, and this is where they basically, DJ Isaac's character figures out that he's basically, the full Latin phrase is translates to save yourself from hell. And this is, obviously there's something else going on. And they get more of that video of them basically cannibalizing each other and tearing each other apart.
The scenes that do still exist after the salt mine in Transylvania are fucking vivid.
There's some gross scenes, and just the ones that you could see.
Exactly. There's more, including sodomy with a large rusted pipe. Yeah, it's
uncalled for.
Oh yeah.
So
this is totally
it gets
on
worse.
topic, but can we address the big elephant in the room? Like, that distress signal clearly wasn't like damaged. It was just screams.
Yeah, I know. They were just like, send out a distress signal. Screams.
Right. And like, I get that like the crew is trapped or stranded or whatever, but come on. You like the whole movie they're focusing on what they can't decipher, but they don't take precaution as to what caused the distress.
Well, they've got Dr. Stark as like this metaphysical thing. Oh, I think the ship's alive. Like she comes to that really quick, and with very little evidence. But they don't have enough forethought to go. Let's look for logs we can use.
She wasn't passionate, like strongly voicing that though. That was a private conversation with her and the captain.
Yes,
and he was like, "Yeah, you need to find something else." And she's like, "You asked."
Yeah, you asked. So after they see this video, Miller's like, "We're getting off this ship," and the repairs on Lewis and Clark is almost complete, and Dr. Weir does not want to leave the gravity drive or the event horizon, and he's like, I already am home. I don't have to go home.
Uh-oh.
And this is where Dr. Weir goes crazy.
Oh, yes.
He takes one of the bombs from the long corridor and brings it to the Lewis and Clark.
That's right. So they're the other side of it is the woman with the son. I think her name's Peters. They're collecting the CO2 scrubbers off of the event horizon, and while they're doing that, she sees her son and she starts running after him. You know
he's not really there.
He cannot possibly manifest himself millions of miles away from Earth. The kid's legs barely work. How did he walk that far? So
he walked all the way to Neptune.
It's a long walk, Mom. So they got out. So she's chasing it, and she falls down, and she cracks her head.
And pretty much dies.
She's dead.
It was stupid.
Yeah. It was a dumb way for her to go.
Yeah.
It was.
I was not a fan of that.
Yeah, I was like, come on. Really? I had more respect for her than that.
Mama Bear.
Mama Bear.
That was so sweet and creepy at the same time.
Yes, it was creepy.
It was kind of creepy. But I mean, he was the youngest crew member, and she had son issues, so I get it. It was fine.
She is guilt.
But it was creepy.
She's guilt of leaving her child.
Right.
So this is where, and Weir finds her, and then he's like, oh shit, so, and then, so she finds him discovers her body, and that's where he has a vision of his wife committing suicide, and then she says, now, if we can be together, you don't have to be alone anymore, and doesn't have her eyes, and so this is where he's going to take his eyes out as well.
It cuts him out.
Yeah.
Don't need those suckers anymore.
Don't need those.
I've got
Wild jelly?
Bye, Felicia.
That was the better joke. I tried to go Shakespeare. She did that. Yeah. I do Shakespeare. She does Friday. She won.
There you go.
Oh.
She won.
To be fair, I'm a bigger fan of Shakespeare. So, Shakespeare away.
Well, Shakespeare my butt. So Miller, Captain Miller's walking in the corridor and notices when the explosives are missing, and this is where the Smith sees that Weir's leaving the Lewis and Clark back to the Event Horizon, and is like, "What's going on? And
Where's the bomb?"
And then Miller calls over to Smith saying, "I think he did something to the Lewis and Clark. I think there's a bomb on there," because he knew that Dr. Weir didn't want to leave the Event Horizon there.
But he was in that structure.
Yeah.
What was that structure called?
Corridor.
The corridor.
Yeah,
he was in the corridor, and he actually he was able to see two separate detonation devices, and he saw that one was tampered with.
Right, and then when Smith sees it, he realizes he doesn't have enough time
To disarm it.
and
There goes Alfred.
and the only one who really lives is Cooper, because he's up on the
Cooper,
and he goes flying off.
It throws him, and he pulls out his oxygen and blasts off with that to get back to the ship.
Yeah, there's a great. What does he say when he's like,
Why does this always happen to me? Something funny, like
this has happened before. So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny.
Right.
Cooper is pretty funny in that.
I mean, like he's the one piece of levity in this movie that's super dark and depressing.
I know, and needs a little
disgusting.
more.
Yeah.
Needs a little more.
Okay.
So Cooper uses his own spacesuit, like I said, and he goes back, travels back to the Event Horizon. So he's on his way back, and there's only a few survivors. This is where Miller is like, okay, I got to take out Weir, and he starts hunting him down with some kind of rivet gun, and he finds his Exo Stark there as well, and she's knocked out, and so when he goes to save Stark, he finds the guns missing, and then that's Weir's there on the bridge, and his eyes is torn out, and he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But he sutured them. So, a scene before this is when Dr. Weir
Kills DJ.
murders Isaac.
Jason Isaacs.
Jason
DJ.
Isaacs.
Right.
Isaacs?
And hangs him up like a weird animal
totally
from the ceiling.
does that whole weird suspension shit and opens his intestines and everything is laid out on the table. But anyway, right before this is when that happens. But it was odd direction or whatever, because Jason Isaacs' character is laying on the table and he lifts up, opens up the shirt, and you see this long scar, and then you see him grab a scalpel, and he grabs a scalpel, and then the next thing you see him grab is sutures.
Yeah.
But then the next scene you see Jason Isaacs' body suspended on hooks,
Right.
completely opened. The whole chest cavity is
How much
open.
time did Weir actually have to do all this? I mean, I'm
Right.
They're hunting him down to
That
kill him, and
too.
he's having lots of fun with that body.
He's like,
But,
I'm making a Christmas ornament.
yeah, I know.
But,
it's Christmas.
but what I thought
everyone.
was, what I thought was weird was that it went immediately from scalpel to suture, and the suture you see when you actually see Dr. Weir's body, his eyes are stitched, his lids are stitched closed. But I don't know, it was a really poor. I think it was just a poor decision for the movie to make it so soon after. I don't know, it didn't flow well, and it kind of broke.
Lots of deleted scenes. I mean, there could have been some other stuff.
I guess there are a ton of deleted scenes, but that was just something I thought of that was weird. That
I just thought the time
eyes were
between Miller chasing down Weir and finding DJ totally hung and hamstrung from the ceiling with all his, disemboweled. I thought that.
it should have been real close to each other.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he didn't have enough time to do.
Well, yeah,
all
because
that.
Cooper's also blasting himself back to the ship at this point, and then Sam Neill goes up, but Weir gets up to the ship, to the bridge, and starts to fight Lawrence Fishburne.
And to boot, when we see Weir, he's not that bloody.
No.
He's
Maybe he wore a nice lab coat.
Yeah, maybe.
And took it off after he was done.
He had a jumpsuit.
Bleed over there. The stains.
He's a clean demon possessed person.
Yes,
We're out of club soda.
he's clean freak.
I was gonna say, if David's theory of possession is gonna be like dominant here, I think that the body of Dr. Weir could be dead, and at least the sutures. That's why the sutures wouldn't have bled. But then later on, you see him, and he's all cut up, and
Well, that's when he's definitely
so that
dead.
would really work.
Oh, he died.
He died.
He died. He just came back.
He did.
The ship brought him back.
Well, so like I said, they meet on the bridge with Stark, Miller, and Weir. Weir's eyes are torn out, and he has a gun. And this is where they get into a tussle. And obviously, one of the windows gets blown out, and Weir gets blown out the window.
And Cooper comes in.
But first they get out of the bridge with Stark and Miller, and by that point they're escaping, and like you said, they find Cooper. They're going to kill him too, which is kind of funny. Mm-hmm. They're like, "No, don't hit me." It'd be hilarious. He just made it, and then just like they beat the shit out of him. Like, oh fuck.
Oh man.
Can I really have to say something about this scene. Mm-hmm. So Cooper and Stark are not Cooper. Cooper's coming in the hatch, but Stark and the captain are poised to attack whoever's coming out of this hatch, right?
Right.
So the way that they're staged, they would have knocked each other out.
Oh, the way they're standing?
Yeah, because they're facing
like the Three
each other.
Stooges.
One is left-handed, one is right-handed. They would have knocked each other out.
Right.
It would not have worked. And that was poor direction.
Poor direction.
You're an actor. You can pretend to be left-handed. Just stay in the same direction.
So at this point, they're basically Miller's. I'm going to blow that neck up on the ship, and we're going to get away from this gravity drive thing.
We're using the escape boat.
And so you basically like get up front, and this is where he sets up everything to blow up, and where he gets confronted with this fear of the guy we mentioned before. We didn't talk about it, but he's haunted by a guy who he saw burned to death on an old ship, old crewmate, and he's chasing after him, and so he runs through this fiery corridor into.
Let's call it an inferno, man. That's basically what it was.
Into the gravity drive, and this is where he meets Weir. Weir's still alive or been reanimated.
Reanimated by the ship, but Weir's also embodying his dead shipmate.
Right.
And then he's like, "You're dead. You can't be you." He's like, "Yes, it's me from Jurassic Park."
Yes.
Welcome to
Interesting
dinosaurs.
thing about Homeboy that was burning alive during that scene. That is the only animatronic in this movie.
Really?
And it was set on fire 73 times.
That's awesome.
73 times they had to keep on igniting this for every single different take, because lots of the faux skin that they used was flame retardant just to keep it constantly burning, but not have to build a new one every time.
Right.
They had to douse it and reignite it every single take.
That's crazy.
And all of the time that you see it, 73 times they ignited that thing. It is the only animatronic in the movie.
So this is where Dr. Weir grabs Lawrence Fishburne, and he basically shows him hell, and he shows his crew members
that are still alive, getting tortured
in hell. Mm-hmm. And then he just, decides to hit the button, and
sacrificing himself,
blows himself up, and he blows up the whole back end of the Event Horizon with the gravity drive. And we have the front of the ship gets projected forward with Stark and Cooper still on it, but
and the kid.
The kid. Oh yeah.
They bring him.
What's his name? Smith, the engineer, who's still barely alive.
No, Smith was the dead guy.
Oh, sorry. What was his name?
I'm looking. Justin,
right. And so they get shot off, but the funny thing is that huge gravity wells, you would think they get sucked back into it.
But they don't.
But
the gravity well ship, it goes in, and Lawrence Fishburne's in hell. Poor Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne in hell. And so then the crew puts himself in those water pods, and they are rescued.
But Stark has a dream.
72 days later, yes.
Stark has a dream, and she sees Sam Neill again. Jurassic Park, bitches.
Yes. So,
and then she wakes up, and the crew is actually being saved.
Right.
But are they?
Are they?
And the door closes.
Yes, we don't know.
And the movie's over.
Robbie, what do you think about this movie?
I'm going to be very blunt and honest with you, man. The very first time I saw this movie, it was absolute nightmare fuel.
Really?
I love... Even now, because in preparation for this movie, I was wrong. I could not find it on any streaming site, so I did end up renting it on Prime. I still love this movie. But the very first time I saw it, I'm going to venture a guess. It came out in 1997, if memory serves.
Yes.
I saw it in maybe 99, 2000.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't a new release at that point. It gave me nightmares. I thought that so many of the visuals were just wholly impactful. I thought a lot of the religious iconography was subtly placed throughout to help to inform and embellish the scenery and embellish the story, but it didn't really come right up on Front Street. It didn't beat us over the head.
Yeah,
It was
There
real
is
subtle.
religious iconography in the movie, bitch. You know, it was just enough to make things unsettling. So when you see the fact that the hull is like across, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And if you know one of those images or some kind of symbolism, you can sort of make the connections while you're watching
Precisely.
it.
And once I learned that the entirety of the Event Horizon is based directly on the Notre Dame Cathedral, like I said, because I found that out going into my most recent viewing of it. Watching it with that information now, it takes on a whole new meaning
Yeah, I
when
wasn't
you're
aware of
seeing
that. I would've-
some of this architecture.
I read that after I watched the movie. I want to watch the movie again just to
Right.
see, like, to look for the iconography more.
Right.
Because I
Now-
wasn't paying attention to. I was just kind of watching the actors and stuff like that.
Right. But
some
once
of the
you
sets
know
caught
this
my
stuff,
eye.
once you notice that stuff, you don't unsee it, and you're sitting there like, oh my God. And it almost, because there's so much ambiguity with the ending of the movie, it almost makes me wonder if that was the intent of the original iteration of the Event Horizon, or maybe that is what this twisted abomination Leviathan thing that came out of this hell dimension was turned into.
Right.
You know, was this originally what was there or not? Because there's so much ambiguity in this movie. You know, everybody has their own personal slice of hell in this film. I think that this movie is wholly effective if you allow it to be. It was nightmare fuel for me for the very first time I seen it, and I still love this movie to this day. I think it's fantastic. The acting is top notch. Special effects, even today, a lot of them
Great
do hold
actors
up.
in this movie.
Yeah.
So many good actors.
Yeah.
Dave.
Let's do Holly next.
Oh, you want to do Holly? All right.
Oh, you want to do Holly?
You're Holly.
That's not what I meant.
It's okay. I don't have a lot more to say. I think that a lot of what Robbie said that wasn't biblically based, I kind of agree with. Some thoughts that I had were that we didn't discuss. Some thoughts I had that we didn't discuss were like Dr. Wire's visions. I felt like they didn't seem like fears. They seemed a little more prophetic. And then with the crew, it was more fear, which was interesting because at the end of the movie, Stark has a similar type dream, but I kind of accepted that more as a PTSD thing rather than prophetic. It was really more like direction that I kind of had thoughts on, but one of the things that I felt really strongly about in the beginning of this film when I was watching it was I thought, and it would have been a completely different movie if this were the case, I was convinced that the crew were on a time loop and that the going through the wormhole had begun this weird little time loop where all of the dead things that were on the Event Horizon were actually the crew from what was their ship?
Oh,
Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark.
The Lewis and Clark. So everything, I was just looking for anything to make my theory plausible, and like it didn't happen, never came to fruition, obviously. But I thought that would have been really cool if
Time loops are
like
fun.
all the dead bodies that were plastered in the infirmary were actually their bodies, but it just hadn't happened yet. And it was
You're around your own dead body. It's floating.
yeah, I was convinced that that's what was going to happen until
That would have been scary, though.
it could have been scary. Your own self is telling you that you're going to die.
Holly,
I can't remember what.
your theory was confirmed in deleted scenes that are never going to see the light of day.
You're kidding me.
The crew of the Lewis and Clark is in the hell scene.
Oh my god.
That is not in the movie. It is not canon, but it was filmed.
So wait a second. So you're saying originally that they were in...
Originally, the footage that is coming from them, the crew from the Lewis and Clark is in that footage as well. So they're actually seeing the past, the present, and the future in that footage.
It's a whole bunch of distress signals. That would have been cool. That would have made the movie so much more interesting.
That's
I think.
awesome.
Because the movie.
So-
See, that's what I was thinking. That's what I thought it was.
That is in the script. That was filmed. That was cut, taken out. The footage is destroyed in a salt mine in Transylvania. I am not joking about this.
That's
in-
crazy.
Pennsylvania.
We have lots of farmland.
I don't know why. I think it's so interesting that the footage for this movie is in a salt mine in Transylvania.
How did it
That
get
is
there?
so weird.
That much I don't know.
Paul
I
W.S.
don't know
Anderson's
that.
vacation spot. With Mila
Come with me
Jovovich.
to Transylvania.
He
So-
cosplays as Dracula for her.
So it's very interesting that you had that theory because, I mean, I'm not saying that you were right, but you were not exactly wrong because that footage was filmed.
So
Time loops would be
Wow,
fun.
that's crazy.
my thought is that that's really. I mean, I didn't come to that conclusion whatsoever, but that's really very astute of you, Holly, that you would even pick that up. I could see why they cut that because I think it would just confuse the fuck out of people. Like the audience would be like, "What?" Because I mean, honestly, time travel movies and stuff like that, unless it's really spelled out for people, they really do not get time travel movies.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
But it would be so much fun if it was like another 30 minutes long and they see some of their bodies, but not all of them, because some of their bodies were lost or burnt or like blown out into space. Like that would have been cool. Like it's like why isn't my body? We see other like it could have been a mystery. It could have been
interesting.
It could have been really interesting. Have a time loop like Star Trek, but like do it like in a movie, but with horror. That could have been really interesting.
What about you?
I really enjoy this movie. Like it's not a terrible movie. It's not a fantastic movie. It's like right in the middle, and it's like a sweet spot for like weird sci-fi horror. And it's not something I see a whole lot that's like decent, because usually sci-fi horror is like god awful.
Yes.
And this movie is pretty good.
Lots of times it's
I enjoy
awful. Yeah.
Leprechaun in space.
it. Leprechauns in the hood in space.
Leprechaun in the Hood.
Leopard in the hood out to
do no
good.
Oh Jesus!
Don't at me.
Oh my God!
I know the song.
Wow!
Don't at me, Aaron O'Brien.
Can't believe you know that.
Warwick Davis, a national treasure.
Oh God, yes.
But it's a good movie. It's well constructed. Like I said when I read later after I rewatched it this last time about the religious iconography, and as I watched it, some of the sets did catch my eye. I was like wondering what was going on, like some of the designs and how symmetrical they were. It was really interesting. But I was like I didn't really think about it other than just like this is how symmetrical some things were. I didn't think about it religiously or iconography, but now I really want to look into it and rewatch it with that in mind, because I think that would be a lot more interesting. Looking at the sets more, and
I want to see the lost footage.
I want to see the lost footage too. I want to see this movie complete in the way it was meant to be, and all the actors are so much older now they can't even redo it. I guess they could use the de-aging stuff. I mean, that's coming a long way. If you
The
look at
only
Marvel
way that they
movies.
could do this is to completely remake the movie. You know what I mean? Like,
Paul W.S. Anderson, do it again.
Do it again.
better.
Do it better this time.
we'll give you the full 10 weeks for the director's cut.
People have been floating around had to have a sequel of this. I don't think this movie would do well for a sequel.
There's no reason for it. No, a sequel would do nothing but water down the ambiguity that's already there.
Yes.
Because that ambiguity is what helps fuel those nightmares.
Yes.
Remake it the way it was intended to be made.
Yes.
And then maybe do a sequel to that.
Well,
Maybe.
It's when Robbie said that there was so much cut from the film, I wasn't surprised, because I did feel like there was a lot missing from the film. Like, for instance, Dr. Weir is always meh when he's questioned, and it was very odd
like he's
that
hiding
someone
things,
would.
right?
Yeah, that someone would be put in charge of a mission, a very delicate Black Ops mission, who could be so blasé about
and so
what's
mentally
going
unstable
on.
Too.
Yeah.
And so mentally unstable. And so
Let's send her to Neptune. There's no problem there.
I'm curious, like, what I would love to see a documentary on why they had to cut so much from this film, because I feel like they had to cut away so much that could have really helped kind of make things a little more cohesive, but then they would have, lost time. You could have been distracted. And
I feel like there's also a missing scene where like Stark, where she figures out the ship is sentient, because I feel like she just kind of jumps to that conclusion without any actual evidence.
Yeah, most likely.
There was a moment where I thought maybe Stark was like an apparition, like a mental. There really was. What was it? It was right
There
after
is
they
no
rescued
spoon type
Cooper.
scenario?
There's this.
Kind of. It was right after they saved Cooper, and the captain goes to
Blow the ship
the what's the
Gravity drive?
yes, to the gravity drive.
Lou?
And I had to rewind because I was like, wait, or not Cooper. I keep saying Cooper. Stark. I thought Stark was
Stark's the
an
XO.
apparition.
Yeah,
I thought maybe she was an apparition, because I was like, wait, did Stark even acknowledge her, or was this the captain's like imagination? And like it was so random that I just was shit.
That
I gotta
would be funny.
rewind.
That would be funny too.
but
She's like
Cooper
Harvey.
actually acknowledges him. Yeah.
Like Harvey. It's a big rabbit.
Or maybe the ship's speaking through her because she's the next chosen one to kind of start it all over again at the end of the movie.
Maybe.
That would be interesting.
Because
That would be really interesting.
because that would, if the ship is speaking through her, that would have been
That would
fantastic.
explain her
But there's no-
PTSD weird premonition dream thing.
There's no evidence for it. What were your thoughts, Aaron?
Yeah.
I think this movie starts off strong. I think it's a beautiful looking movie and a lot of great actors. I just think I think all the stuff that we were saying, as Holly's kind of been alluding to it, I think there's a lot of breakdown of sequences that could have been either built up or better narratively shown. A lot of it just gets to me like, it jumps from intrigue to full blown horror. And if they would have like siphoned that through a little longer, stretch that out a little bit. I don't know how you would do it. I'm not the guy but it just.
From what Robbie's saying, it sounds like studio meddling.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
in a
it's
big
not-
bad way.
It's not.
big bad way.
And
And
it
if-
sounds like
yes.
it's Paul W.S. Anderson's fault.
And if there was a time loop thing, I think that would have been far more
Keep in mind, the studio wanted this movie to be PG-13.
Yeah.
They were pushing for that for the majority of the
Well-
time it was made.
Don't make
In the
PG-13
'90s,
movies horror movies.
PG-13, you could have blood and gore.
Yeah. Well,
So
Not like this.
No.
Not like this.
What?
I mean, if you
Not
go through
like
the hell
this.
scenes, I went through the hell scenes and I stopped and I paused to see each
These
one
are
of those.
quick
You did that
flashes.
too?
They're
Yeah.
quite disturbing.
Yeah.
So
Imagine how much more disturbing they got.
I'm sure, yeah,
because that was the footage that was allowed in.
yeah.
There's a lot more maggots, I'll put it that way.
There's more maggots.
There's a lot more maggots.
So many more.
Are there maggots in space?
There are in a hell dimension.
Oh, okay. I just honestly, there's
Oh my god, that is a really good point,
What?
Aaron.
what
That
Maggots
there
in
should
space?
be no maggots.
I know.
There
fucking
are
hate
in a
flies.
hell
I
dimension,
fucking hate
Holly.
them.
We've established
No.
this.
There's hell
Well,
maggots.
they have-
They're hell maggots. They're
Hell,
hell-agates.
Hell agates.
Fuck magnets. Magnets.
Magnets.
Fuck maggots and
Stalagmites.
flies. No. Not allowed.
So,
Nothing.
I honestly, it was one of those things. I felt like the movie kind of has a great premise, has a great visual effects, great actors, and I just think somehow it just starts disassembling itself further down. And there's even some sequences, like honestly, the sequence when Lawrence Fishburne's pushes the button to blow up the ship. It just seemed corny to me because it's like in slow motion.
It was bad.
It's just like
Yeah,
some
I can
weird
give you that.
choices. Just
I
like,
can give you that. I'm
why?
not saying that this is a perfect movie. I'm also saying that horror is subjective, and what works on me doesn't work on everybody.
And when you saw that, I'm sure you were what, 15, 14?
Let's say at that point 13, 14 for the
Yeah,
first
so
time.
that's probably a great time to see a movie like that, to be like getting your like,
have
whoa.
an
right.
on you.
I wasn't
Yeah.
exactly a
At that time,
cinephile
it was,
at
like,
that time.
so
You know what I
weird.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it is the nostalgia that keeps this movie fresh and keeps this movie amazing to me. Maybe it's the core concept. Maybe it's the acting. I don't know. But
I was older. I was much older. And, it just was one of those things that just like I've seen horror movies before, and this was like, oh, this is another horror schlock. The only thing that was cool about it was that it was out in space, and like you said, it's well done. And there were some cool actors in it. Robbie, probably just got off his shift working at the Cinnabon, and he came to go see the movie and was not expecting to be terrified.
What do you think my life was?
I don't know. But I'm hoping you work at the. I hope you worked at the Cinnabon and had a great time.
We didn't know what Cinnabon was until
Okay.
we branched out to big cities.
There used to be a place called Cindy's Cinnamon Rolls.
That's close enough. Whatever.
They were
Where the fuck
delicious.
was
Did they have them up
that,
here?
Robbie?
The non-franchised one? Yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, here, if you give her an extra couple bucks, she lets you squeeze her breasts. So.
Oh, okay.
The glaze isn't quite sugar.
different. It's different here.
What happens in Snake Land stays at Snake Land.
That's right. Anyway,
I need that shirt, by the way.
You're wearing the Snake Land shirt.
I'm wearing
so-
one.
I'm not talking about your exact shirt. I'm
Take
not
it off
saying
his
I need.
back.
I'm not saying I need a game worn jersey. I'm saying on Friday I'm walking away with one of those.
Cool.
So, just in the movie, one of the questions I had that I wanted to wait to the end to talk about was, for everybody, when do you think Weir was taken over by the ship?
I think-
was he taken over the ship before he arrived?
Yes.
When he started having premonitions?
I think when he made it.
I agree.
Or when he was sitting in the chair, the captain's chair, because that's when he started acting weird. Because at the captain's chair, when they're banging on the door, they're running
You're
away
right.
from the premonitions. That's when he started acting weird. I mean, before he was just hiding. He was hiding the premonitions.
Just
from the
remember,
crew.
his wife killed herself, and there could have been other reasons why she did that. So my feeling is that something was planted long before.
Yeah.
That's just it. Based on what you literally just said, the wording choices you used, I agree with you. I think he was taken over in full force the minute he sat in the captain's chair. Mm-hmm. I think he was being influenced and had his strings pulled from. I don't even think that he came up with the core idea for this. I think that he was a susceptible person that maybe was just like
Dabbling in black arts and science.
the book of fucking Job. The book of Job. God and the devil have a bet over a guy named Job. Why this guy? I don't know. Maybe there's just something about you that pissed me off. Maybe just luck of the fucking draw, man. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And Satan says, I'm choosing you.
Exactly.
But the thing is, with the time loop,
I chose you,
with the time loop theory that Holly was talking about, and the deleted scenes that you said were shot,
And he's thrown out of a Pokeball. I chose you, Dr.
Gotta
Weir.
catch 'em all. It's so true.
well, just with
That gravity drive was just a big Pokeball.
You torture me, I'll torture you.
poke it up Uranus.
Pokemon. That's dirty. Never mind.
But what I was saying was, like, if the time loop thing is true and the gravity drive deleted scenes are time loop based, then the inception of it, like you were saying, could have been the hellscape was talking to him. It made him obsessed.
Yes.
It also it latched to his wife. She commits suicide because he's associated with
and the
with
dominoes
a man.
fall from there.
And then it becomes its own self-replicating.
I honestly think he was taken over body and soul when the minute he sat in the captain's chair. It just symbolically makes sense.
And let me just point out that,
Symbolically, yes.
as in the pilot of D Space Nine, time to us is linear, but if you are not a creature that lives in the space of time,
fourth dimensional being, it doesn't matter.
Time moves back and forth like we move through the third dimension. So to them, it could be like they're all over the place.
Holly, are you kept up on The Good Place yet?
I'm very close. Like,
If you didn't see this last week's episode, then what I'm about to say will make no sense to you.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I will bring up a chat window
Jeremy
for
Barrett.
Skype, and I'm gonna take my headphones off, and you just text me when you're done. Yeah.
Okay.
Time being completely nonlinear is the whole idea. Jeremy Barrett
Okay.
is
I don't know what you're talking about. So
basically it boils down to we see time as a line in ethereal dimensions. For whatever reason, the way time runs, it seems to look like the name Jeremy Barrett written in cursive, including the I. which just happens to be Tuesdays and also nothing.
It's always a Tuesday.
I don't know, but
I've never seen the show.
but time being linear to us, obviously we move forward through time. Like if we were on a person on a flat piece of paper, and we move through the third dimension, and those little guys on the second dimension go like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
those guys must be gods." And to us, we see people that can move through the fourth dimension of time and go
They're
like,
like gods to
"Whoa,
us, yeah.
they can just go through any place in time." So
It's fascinating. It's really interesting.
So if they do go through time and space, then the crew being on a time loop of some sort or some kind of caught in time, and then on top of that, who knows how far these demonic forces or from hell, from wherever they can reach to Dr. Weir, maybe influence his wife to die, to make him go mad, to whatever. So
I mean, this would have been such a great backstory if all this had happened and we got to see some of it happen, or they talked about some of it happening. Because if he was like not taken over, but just influenced tangentially when he was making the drive, and they had sparked the idea, and like just that tangential touch tainted her soul to where she wanted to kill herself, and that could have been way more interesting. And then it makes the time loop. That would have been a lot of fun.
And honestly,
I would like a heady horror movie instead of schlock horror movie.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And honestly, watching the movie through that lens, it kind of forgives a lot of the sins that this movie had.
If you
know what I
knew
mean?
this going into it, yeah. I mean, and
If you know
from
the
what you
symbolic
told me,
theories.
and I did hear that there were deleted scenes, but I didn't know what they were. So I never paid that much attention to it.
I don't know what all of them are, and I'm not going to pretend to. I do know what some of them are.
Right.
I've seen a few of them.
Right.
I can't unsee some of them. There's a lot of maggots.
Sadly.
Well-
There's a lot of maggots.
So that's Event Horizon. I mean, it's a fun movie. I don't know if I would want to watch it on a yearly basis. Maybe on
Oh no, I wouldn't watch
5
this
to
on a
10 year
year.
basis.
It's no Fight Club,
No, right.
where I like to watch that once a year.
Christmas. First Die Hard movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That's how I am with books.
It's
It gets sad
to me,
when I'm
it's-
like, oh man, I've got like 2 weeks to read this book before fall is over.
To me, it's good, but it's not yearly Halloween good. It's also bad, but it's not so bad that it's yearly Halloween good. You know what I mean?
It's a very middle of the road movie.
Yeah.
But for a science fiction horror movie, it's got to be one of the
It's like
best.
what more do you want for that?
No.
You know what I mean?
And now, if you watch it with our theories, it makes the movie so much better.
It does.
I'm
I
enjoying the
agree.
movie better thinking about it with our theories.
Right. And
Like,
also knowing some of this backstory about not only the architecture but the deleted scenes and whatnot, it does add more layers to this film.
Oh, for sure.
and then same, and then just her Stark getting the vision like Sam Neill did as soon as like they left.
They were in
thing.
the-
So
yeah,
she's starting to
farm,
loop
yeah.
over.
Right.
So she's bringing hell back to wherever she's gotten to.
Right.
Which is going to be I mean, you could totally do a sequel to it, but I mean, all the actors are old now, so you have to like restart it.
I don't think this movie needs a sequel.
No.
Or remake, tell you the truth.
I would love to see a remake made with the movie as it was supposed to be intended to be, with the deleted scenes intact. And
We'll never
That is
know.
the only way I could see a remake of this movie
yeah, I'd rather remake that.
being appropriate.
Yeah.
I don't need a sequel to this movie, but a remake for the way this film should have been, I will take.
I would love like Jodorowsky's Doom, like get that
Oh,
kind
God.
of, like get that kind of
Salvador Dali and a giraffe.
like get that kind of brilliance to make this movie remake amazing, and not just remake it as it is, but remake it as it should have been.
Well,
I
I
don't
have
want a
thoughts
sequel.
on
Event
this.
Horizon as made by David Lynch.
Oh God, that'd be hilarious.
I need a chimpanzee
forever.
here. Coop, we need to put a chimpanzee in.
Chimpanzee in this scene.
Nice donut and coffee.
Well, I have thoughts on this whole horror remake. Let's do a sequel thing. I didn't consider this a horror film.
Really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't take my kids to see it.
I get that there's a lot of
Did you see
death.
it as a rom-com there, Holly? Because
Oh yeah, there's a
very
rom com
little other
between
you could see it
Stark and
as.
Cooper.
No, I just
Barely.
legitimately saw it as a science fiction. Like, I really didn't see it as any kind of horror. I guess maybe my view on horror is skewed because
Robbie.
when I do watch horror, I'm I don't know. I end up critiquing the directors. I don't know. I don't know.
You kind of have. I mean, you've had some pretty poignant thoughts about this movie.
You have,
already.
Holly.
Yeah.
I think
So even by your own definition,
it's still a horror movie.
Like, I critique it and I look for this. Yeah, but you've done that.
You have.
Here,
Well,
Holly.
then I would love, if they do a sequel or a reboot, I would love to see more horror then, for me.
Wow. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'd want to see more horror in this movie.
Challenge accepted.
Paul W.S. Anderson, do it again.
I mean, gore doesn't equal horror, right?
Not
not
to me.
necessarily.
Not to me at all.
Actually-
war movies aren't technically horror movies. They have show
But they're
horrific
gore,
things.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of like horror movies without as heavy gore, because
Same here.
heavy gore gets a little bit like, meh, okay, you're just trying to
I'd
be
rather a
gross.
psychological thriller.
Yes.
I would rather you get into my head and find something that resonates.
Because
with
I
me,
think if you do
know?
have that horror scene in a psychological thriller, it's so much more like, whoa,
Yeah.
wow.
I would much rather watch Insidious than Saw.
Yes.
Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, if they would have used the deleted scenes and the stuff we were talking about that could have been in deleted scenes, this movie would have been a more heady psychological thriller plus gore.
Plus carnage candy. Yes.
That would have been. It would have been
Yeah,
great.
but it would have
Best
been
of both
both.
worlds.
Yes.
Yep.
But blame the studios, honestly. Blame the
Yeah,
studios.
Studios always mess
They
things
wanted
up.
that PG-13 so bad.
That's
They did.
crazy.
But it was still
and
art.
they went far enough to violate procedure and
Oh, they
the
flat out
union
violated
laws
union
and
law. Yes.
That's crazy.
He ended
That's
up
crazy.
with less than half of the time that any director is allotted for a director's cut back in 1997.
So the fact that the movie is as good as it is a miracle.
It is a goddamn miracle that we're even watching the movie that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Right.
movie should not exist as it is, but yet it does.
Yeah.
There
That's-
are movies
that's really
that get
one way to
filmed
look
and
at it.
are
I mean,
never
even-
viewed.
Yes.
Even from the standpoint of the writer who wrote this, he picked this out of however many scripts he went through. I mean,
Over 40.
It's a miracle.
Yes.
And
This
the-
movie really, by all accounts, everything being stacked against this, it should not exist, the version we have.
Yeah.
But it does.
Yeah.
Now, granted, maybe the director's cut that he wanted could have been a hot steaming pile of poopy doop. I don't know.
Dung.
But I don't know. I mean, this movie, we've got varying levels of good. I don't think I've heard anybody said that this movie sucks, don't ever watch it. You know what I
No.
mean?
Yeah. I'm not
Even-
as crazy
Aaron,
as you guys.
Aaron's,
Well,
our,
yeah,
Aaron's, our,
yeah.
Aaron's our lowest.
You're lowest on the barometer, but even you were like, it was
You could watch
5
it.
every 10,
Yeah,
every
I mean,
5-10 years.
Was it better than real life?
Oh yeah. Yeah, our last episode of Voyager. Yeah.
So I
It's
mean,
not hard to beat Voyager.
there
though.
you go.
No, I
There you
just,
go,
I just,
you know?
I just think it's like a C movie. Some people are like it's a B movie. I'm like, nah, it's more C, but it's watchable, and for the visuals and the actors.
The effects are too good to be a C movie.
I know, but it's just like I said, the plot falls apart more and more. I mean,
Yeah.
Come on, give it a C+.
It's true.
Give it a C+.
think about it.
But the thing that blew me away rewatching it was just so many genre actors. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jolie Richardson
Yeah.
from Nip Tuck, Lawrence Fishburne, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean,
That's
The
where
Matrix.
you go to, not the Matrix.
Well, no, but just that's his most recent thing.
That's fair.
You know, he's tied into
It's like
Marvel
he
now.
was in deep cover. Did you want to go back that far?
Well, no, but it's just the Marvel, and Marvel's the big thing now.
I
So
hear you,
that
yeah.
that
I'm
he's
just
in that.
breaking
Which
balls.
is
It's also
got-
Perry White.
yeah. Oh, yeah, it's true. That's true. I forgot because the DC movies have been so bad. I wanted to reference a good film, not a bad one.
Hey, James Gunn's doing Suicide Squad too.
Which means it'll be amazing, probably.
Most
where the
likely.
first one was
Well,
bad
he's at
from
least
what I heard.
writing it. We don't know if he's directing yet.
Oh man, I'd still want to see it if he's writing it
Yeah.
because he did great with Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, we've
Yep.
got the guy from Gotham. I don't remember who Cooper. He's familiar. He looks familiar. I can't place him in anything though. Like seems like he plays characters like that in other films.
Yeah, I mean they're all like notable actors. So I mean this was not a cheap. Like I said, $60 million to make this. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of money.
And I'm trying to remember how long pre-production was, but they dumped their wad
Yeah,
in making the sets for this movie.
yeah.
The sets are
They-
amazing.
The sets were amazing, and they were made within, if memory serves,
It's Pinewood.
2 months for all of the sets in this movie.
Oh, that's crazy.
That is
impressive.
astronomical. And
They're huge
they
sets.
paid for it, too. They paid top dollar for that.
Right.
So that's just another reason this movie should not exist. Somehow you can rent it right now. I don't know.
Well, if they put enough money into it, then they have to release it at least.
No,
that's what I mean. The quality of the movie, the version of this film that we have. I mean, it is definitely not perfect, and please don't think that I'm blowing it. But
and apparently the residuals from it, from the DVDs and Blu-ray, has made this movie Paramount some money. So
it's definitely cult status by now.
I definitely feel like the movie was kind of ahead of its time.
For sure.
For what it is. Because I mean,
sure.
I appreciated it on my most recent watch more than I ever did on any previous watch.
That's fair.
With knowing where these actors have gone and knowing what they're in now, and just like, oh, I know these people. It's that surprise to me. Like, it's like
and now knowing what you know now, you almost want to go back and rewatch it tonight.
I do want to go back and rewatch it. I need to get the Blu-ray and watch the deleted scenes.
Yeah, I think I'm going to buy that too.
I don't know if I'll watch it again anytime soon, but whatever.
Well, if I get the Blu-ray, I'll invite you over.
Thanks.
Or you come for here.
Give me a couple years.
Spoon.
Yeah, we can spoon.
I'll be the goddamn ladle, okay?
Ladle. It is made.
I made it on there.
All right, should we wrap this up, gentlemen?
I think so. It's getting kind of late.
Let's wrap it up.
For you, it's late.
Yes.
Shut up, Cali girl.
Silly California people in their early time zones.
It's wonderful. Although I woke up this morning and it was 9 o'clock. Well, I didn't wake up at 9. I got up earlier. I just stayed in bed because you can on Sundays. And
Sunday.
I get to the top of the stairs and I hear football. And instantly I went grumpy cat and I was like, already?
Again.
How is it football day already?
Because Michael, that's what he was so excited about moving out there for.
I
Football
know.
from morning to night.
That's basically it.
12 hours of football, uninterrupted.
Yeah.
That's Michael's
You can stop watching
dream.
football at like 8 o'clock at night and all of the games are over.
I don't understand
But
those
today
people.
there was a game in London, apparently.
Oh.
So that's why it was so early.
I don't know why they have football stadiums in London. That seems strange. Robbie, where can we find you on the yield internet?
You can find me anywhere you listen to podcasts. All you have to do is just look for Nerdynomicon, okay? Also, if you need that fat stimulation of video as well, youtube.com/Nerdynomicon. I'm doing the 31 vlogs of Halloween this month. That means 31 straight days of content. Yes, that's right. Somebody out there is fucking stupid enough to do that. And that person is me.
It's you.
21 straight days with content. I have not missed a day yet. And tomorrow's video is ready to go. So
Congratulations.
Team.
Good for you.
thank you.
Good for you. Good for you.
Well, the show you can find at synthaholics.com. You can all our music is provided by Warp 11. You can find them at warp11.com or Warp 11 on Twitter. On Twitter, the show is at Synthaholic Duo. Personally, I'm David_J_Duncan. Aaron's at Blackbird 2004, and Holly's at Lunar Thistle.
Absolutely. Please go to Apple iTunes, rate and view us there. Gets more views that way. People can see our show. Also, if you can, please go to Patreon.com/Synthaholics. Throw a little cash our way, $1 a month. It's not much to ask to help keep our show going. As well,
It's half the price of a cup of coffee, my friends. Come on. A month?
A fourth
Come
if
on.
you go to Starbucks.
yeah, exactly.
Less than that. Yes, that's right.
Also, if those two ways are not accessible for you one way or the other, we understand. But a great way to support the show is tell a friend.
You like the Mormons, go door to door.
Go door to door. However you like, just...
I'd like to talk to you about our gods, the Synthaholics.
Talking about Event Horizon, a ship that's damned, that's gone to hell and back.
Seriously, tell your grandparents about this show, man. I mean, ask them, hey, Grandma, do you remember I Love Lucy way back in the day? Did you know that she inadvertently led to the creation of this podcast called The Synthaholics?
Really? Yes!
You need to listen to this, Granny.
Absolutely.
We love Lucy
Okay.
here.
Because the dominoes have fallen, bitch.
Right. So
Absolutely.
let somebody know. So that's where we're at. Let people know.
Yeah. Thanks all for listening. Thanks for tolerating this non-Star Trek episode, Halloween special, featuring Robbie Palmer from his 31 Days of Halloween.
He's
I'm so
exhausted.
sorry. You have no idea.
So this means he's watched 32 Halloween movies because he's watched another horror movie for us.
Fuck you, man. I'm reviewing this movie.
Just review this. Do it again.
No, this is not in the 31 blocks of Halloween.
See?
I did this straight for you guys.
Yes, that's awesome.
Also,
Thank you.
just a quick announcement. I do have my Return to Snakeland signing this Friday, October 26th. So
if anyone's in Buffalo area,
if you are in the Buffalo area, we are at the Revolutions Gallery. It's on Hurdle Avenue, and it's going to be from 6 to 9. There'll be lots of music, DJs, and food and booze. So
I'll be definitely stopping by. So please, everybody, stop by. Say hello. Say hello to the man
Friday night?
himself.
Friday night.
I'll be working.
Friday night. Aaron, is there
I'm
any way
walking in wearing
people can
something
order?
sexy, but I'm walking out wearing something even more sexy with that Snakeland shirt. I don't need a game worn jersey. Stop trying to give that to me.
Keep trying to take my shirt off. Show you my tits.
Aaron, is there any way people can order from you, like, online?
So we do have returnsnakeland.com, but the shopping or whatever site, the purchasing site's not completely ready yet. So, but hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll have it ready. We're just
we'll throw a link up on the Facebook group and the Facebook page. Once that's up and good.
if you are interested in the graphic novel.
So even more reason to jump on the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/Alcoholics,
Keep
and
track.
check out there.
Yeah, I'm going to be repping it on my show too. I've
Yeah,
read
you literally just
2/3
have
of
to
your
search
series here. You
Synthaholics.
know how much I love this
Yeah,
series.
yeah. So thank you.
I absolutely
It's
love
gonna.
it. It's very unsettling.
He does very good work.
It's very, very good.
Yeah, if you like Event Horizon, maybe you like it.
You'll like this even better.
I already have the poster in my room. You know
There you
this.
go. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
It's been used as my background for the show. So
and other backgrounds.
yeah.
It's Robbie's tramp stamp too.
You have a choice.
You wouldn't tell
I
anyone.
know I can't keep secrets. I just get so excited about tramp stamps.
Yay, a tramp stamp! He's like, it's a bullseye! It's a bullseye!
Oh, good lord.
Oh,
All right.
well, thank you all so much for listening. On that note,
Bye.
live long and
guys.
prosper, or just don't get sucked into the health verse.
That's right. Just
Hey-oh.
hey, keep away.
Keep away from Sam Neill.
Yeah.
Hasta la vista.
You said live long and prosper. That's all you said.
Life
You
finds a
finish
way.
that shit.
Life finds a way.
One and all.
One and all.
Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink and we'll cry till we laugh. And we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
Unlimited power.
Tiny living space.
Oh my gosh.
Truth
So I have one last thing to say, but it's not really related to like.
I'm still recording, so say it. It'll be in the outtakes.
Oh shit. Okay. Well.
Vagina.
But not,
No, Holly, it was a bit. Aaron was not taking his shirt off. If that's what you had to say, god damn it.
My pants were off.
Not what I had to say. Actually, no. It was just like I think I've talked to all three of you about how I watch horror movies and how I kind of critiqued them, or I just lose track. I get very distracted.
You kind of talked about it on the episode. So
What?
You talked about it on the episode, so you talked to the internet about it too.
Well, everyone.
The whole
Now that we
world.
all know that I get distracted. So basically there's a scene where the doctor is in the med bay and Justin's on the slab and she's like hearing noises. She kind of like walks across the room and she's like looking through a hatch. Well, not really through. She's at a good distance. And like the lights start to go out.
Right.
And they like slowly go out behind her, and she's like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!" And she keeps looking forward, and like the time is just going on so long. I'm like, something is gonna happen behind her,
Sure.
and then like lights burst and sparks fly behind her, and she freaks out, and I just laughed out loud.
There were some good sparks scenes where people were falling in slow mo in this movie.
Well, I feel like most people would have been like, but I was just like in hysterics because I was like, I kind of knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, horror movies, part of horror movies is a little predictable.
yeah.
I guess.
Sure.
I guess.
Talk to me, Robbie.
Okay, I'll talk to you.
Vlad the Impala. Blah, blah, blah. Aaron.
We just got done with
Check, 1, 2.
But, you get the keys, so, you're good on that.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me there for a second.
No, she
like,
said
wait a
that.
minute,
See, now this is getting confusing. Nobody knows who's saying to what.
Well, now I can hear
Because
Holly.
I'm garbled.
It's garbled.
She sounds better now.
She sounds fine.
Okay. Oh, so shall we get sharted?
Yes, sir.